Eventually, you're going to want to go faster. But in India, once you've done the RC390 level of sports bikes, the next step is the 200 bhp plus club. And that's a big step for everyone, including me. And India has not had a good history with the middleweight sports bike at all.
We never got the Japanese 600 except for the recently launched Jerez 6R.
Then we had the 675 Daytona, which went out of production, and that left us with the 959 Panigale, a motorcycle honestly even I thought I should get at one point, but it proved to be too difficult to ride. There was a lot of physical energy required and it was just not my cup of tea. But maybe today those problems get solved because we are at the famous racetrack of Jerez in Spain, and you can recognize that from the spaceship over there. And we are riding the brand new Ducati Panigale V2.
This is an extremely important motorcycle for Ducati. Their middleweight sports bikes have always had a special place because they brought real, usable power and the traditionally excellent handling to the range. That's why the 959 exists, and now the V2 replaces it.
So how do you go from the 959 Panigale to the Panigale V2? Well, the visual change is obvious. This fairing was obviously inspired by the V4. It's not the same fairing, it just looks like it. Some of the other bodywork is familiar, but if you want a single-seater tail, that's an accessory you'll have to purchase, and it does have a better seat. But the big changes are inside. So inside the fairing is the same engine, but now it has 2 injectors per cylinder, and what they've managed to do is get 5 bhp and 2 Newton meters of torque more while making it Euro 5 compliant, which is a huge achievement. They've also managed to tuck the exhaust under the engine, and the tip is now very close to the wheel. That's enabled by the new single-sided swing arm, which is the same dimension and function as the twin-sided swing arm from the 959, but it looks definitely better and shows off the new wheels.
The most important tweak is to the handling package. The frame is the same monocoque with everything bolted to the 90-degree V-twin. But the rear shock is 2 mm longer, it runs less preload, and at the front there's 2 mm less trail and a wee bit more weight on the front tire. What does that achieve? Well, time to put rubber down at this historic racetrack. The V2 proved to be a good bike to learn a new racetrack with. It's easy, friendly and predictable, so you can almost ignore it while you're busy learning the track layout. And when you up the pace, you quickly realize why middleweights are so highly rated. It's because they are wonderful sporting motorcycles. The power is at a scale where it never feels lacking, but it also never feels like you're missing out. You couldn't ask for a better stepping stone to the really big power, which honestly, not many of us will ever be able to use. And yes, I do realize how silly calling a 155 bhp bike sounds, but hey, that's the magic of electronics for you. The electronics work brilliantly, and that's no surprise. The V2 has the full suite from the V4, apart from a couple of features. The IMU clearly knows what you're up to, because even once it started to rain, all that happened was that I felt jittery about the rain tires, and I haven't used those before. But down from race to sport mode, traction up from 4 to 7, and I found the confidence again very easily. Perhaps the only niggle I found on the V2, if at all, were the brakes. The Brembo M432s are wonderful, but we know now that sharper and harder brakes exist. At the racetrack, the lever felt a little too long, although the feedback and brake force were unquestionably excellent. Unfortunately, the rain also meant that our riding time got cut short. Terrible when you have such a sweet, capable motorcycle to learn one of the world's top racetracks with.
Now, we didn't get that much riding time here, especially because of the rain, but I do have to tell you, I'm super thrilled that the one problem I had with the 959 is completely gone. It's history. And that was, the 959 was an extremely physical motorcycle and you had to put in a lot of energy into riding it. The V2 is not like that at all, and you'd be amazed at how small the change is, because all they've done is kept the ergonomics triangle where it was, but they've tipped the bike onto its nose a little bit. That makes it so much more responsive. And this new design allows a lot more stuff for your knees and your thighs to grip, so you do feel locked onto the motorcycle a little bit more. 2 small changes and such a massive difference when you ride the bike.
So, ultimate middleweight naked then? I really do think so.
The Ducati middleweight sports bike story has always been about balance, from the 748, the 749 and so on and so forth, till the 959 and now of course the Panigale V2. And in some ways the V2 is exactly like the V4. It's tactile, it's easy to ride, you feel a lot of what's going on and it looks like that. But in very crucial ways, it's not like the V4 at all. You don't really have to figure out how to deal with so much power, and in that sense, this is the sport bike that many people will hop onto, figure out how to ride it, and then go faster and faster. In that sense, they've nailed it. But now for the real good news. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Panigale V2s here, and we're giving away all of them on... No, we're not. The good news is that these motorcycles will be coming to India June or July next year, and despite the design, despite the update in the electronics, and despite all the changes, there is likely to be no price hike at all. Did you like that? Tell us in the comments, hit like, stay subscribed. This is PowerDrift. At EICMA, there were 1 million motorcycles, all of which were coming to India. This is where it begins. Thank you so much for watching.